There's a summer camp here. There are multiple educational programs. And just like when I took you to Valley Forge, this is another interactive learning opportunity for you in the Philadelphia area. But today we're not just going to talk about animals in cages, you know? Today we're going to talk about Americans in cages in far off distant lands, okay? And one of those places is Iran, where we've just seen 4 of our prisoners moved into house arrest from jail, right? From a prison facility, they're moved to a house arrest in Iran. And there were 4 of them, Siamak Namazi, Ahmad Shargi, Murad Tabaz, and Jamshid Sharmahad, excuse me. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about those 4 in just a minute. There's another woman who's remaining anonymous during this process. And the Biden administration just sent $2 billion to Iran, at least after President Obama sent about $3 billion in 2015 and 2016. And at the same time that was happening, 4 of the prisoners were moved into house arrest. So I know that the United States does not have a policy paying for the release of American hostages because it puts a price on our heads internationally as Americans when we travel. So we don't like to buy our hostages back. But the folks at the State Department are doing a great job trying to negotiate their release. And you can see the lions behind me. So we're calling on Iran to release our American lions, Siamak, Ahmad, Murad, and Jamshid. And, you know, they're all Iranian Americans, and one who's, except for Jamshid, right? He's a German, but he's lived in California for like 4 years. And he was actually detained aggressively in Dubai in 2020. He was just pulled off the street, and they threw him in a van, and then they took him back to Iran, and they sentenced him to death in a sham trial. So Jamshid Sharmahad, we have your back. Thanks for living in California. You should really try to come out to Philly. It's a much better, you know, city in a much better state. You'd like it a lot more than California once we get you out of house arrest in Iran. All right, we call on the Iranian government to release the Americans in cages, the American lions in cages. So Siamak was accused of collaborating with the foreign government, which is the United States. Ahmad was accused of espionage, spying for the United States. Murad is actually the co-founder of the Persian Wildlife Foundation. So today at the Philadelphia Zoo, it's probably an applicable tribute to that gentleman. And then again, Jamshid was sentenced to death for dissident activities. And the only thing that allows me to speak to y'all on the channel is our First Amendment, right? Our First Amendment rights are what separates political free speech from dissident activities. And in Iran, Jamshid was sentenced to death just for saying what he believed about how the government was running the country. They sentenced him to death in Iran. But in the United States, we have the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, which guarantees the right to free speech and the right to the press. Okay, so the only difference between Jamshid Sharmahad being sentenced to death in Iran after being violently abducted in Dubai in 2020 and political free speech in America is the First Amendment. That dude's sentenced to death, right? And that's why it's so important that social media companies don't censor free speech online. But Congressman Jordan from Ohio, who's the chairman of the U.S. Congress, the House Judiciary Committee, and also federal Judge Terry Doughty, who issued an injunction against the Biden administration, say that political free speech is censored. So that's coming from Congress and our federal judge. And you can watch the other videos on the channel, which have C-SPAN clips of all of this, so you can talk to your friends and neighbors, right, about what's going on, because you can't do it online. All right. That's who's detained in Iran right now. We also have an American who's detained in Russia. And I want to talk to you about Evan because he's just a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. And he's also been accused of espionage. So we're calling on Russia, who we're stomping right now in Ukraine, wearing black pajamas, etc., to release Evan, who's just a journalist, right? Let him go. Let him go, or trade us for that dude in Brazil, right? Maybe we can make a deal. You guys want the guy in Brazil? Not that we can extradite him, we tried, but we'll trade you, you know what I mean? How's it going, guys? Hey, what's your favorite thing about America? That you live here. That's right. That's better than a lot of other places. Freedom. That's right, man. Thank you for your time, sir. Diversity. Yes, ma'am. Really good job, miss. You know, we're resilient because we're a diverse country. We have different skills. So I agree with you 100%. Muchas otras lenguas. Yeah. Yeah, have a good one, bro. All right, sorry, guys. There's a nice family there, and I just wanted to ask them what they think the best part about America is. One lady said, I live here. Somebody said freedom, and then the other lady said diversity. And absolutely, our diversity is what makes us resilient. in the United States. Different perspectives, different strengths, all coming together. Okay, that's the American dream right there for me. And I've given you a little bit of a crooked view. Y'all don't put a negative comment now, all right? Put your comment about what your favorite part about living in the United States is, your favorite part about freedom, okay? So Evan is detained in Russia, and President Biden is actually, he's talked about him, I've heard it once, maybe he's talked about him more, but I'd sure like to see the office of the president put out some additional statements related to the release of Evan Gershkovich, who's detained in Russia right now. He's a Wall Street Journal reporter, and we're calling for his immediate release. Even the lion is yelling. You hear that lion? That lion wants Evan released from a Russian cage, okay? And he's just a Wall Street Journal reporter, so we're calling on the government of Vladimir Putin to release our American reporter, Evan Gershkovich, okay? Release him now. You hear that lion? Sorry, let me give a four-finger point for you military officers in the audience, right? Four-finger point. I'm not gonna try to talk over a lion, but I need to hear more Americans roaring like that lion. The more of you patriots who roar to your friends and neighbors and families, the faster a message will get out that Americans have a higher level of expectations for many of our elected and appointed officials. And you can just watch other videos on the channel to try to figure out what I'm talking about there, right? Finally, I'm going to talk to you about one more American who's detained abroad, and that's Travis King. Travis King is a United States Army private who ran the border into North Korea. He was locked up for 7 months in South Korea. He had been accused of assault. The Army was bringing him back to the United States, and somehow he escaped, got on a tour bus, and then ran across the DMZ into North Korea. And this happened about a month ago, but we've just heard in the last few days that he's alive and he's making anti-American statements. So I don't know if we want Travis King back other than to try him. You know what I mean? I'd love to maybe watch that on C-SPAN. So we're not going to get to watch a court-martial proceeding on C-SPAN, I know. But Travis King, he's also another American. He's detained in North Korea. We'd like North Korea to, give him back so we can talk to him about a couple of things about appropriateness. What's up, guys? How you doing? Hey, what's your favorite part about America?
What you mean by that?
By anything you want to say in the world. Anything. I've had people say diversity. I've had people say freedom. I've had people say living here.
I bet you wasn't my color that said free.
Oh, she said diversity, and you know what? I think that no matter what color we are, we're all people, and we all had grocery prices and gas prices going up. We've all been screwed by that. And I'm a Marine, and that's kind of what I stand up for. So, even if you have a freaking Bobby Korea hat on, with the Pirates hat, you got a Phillies hat. Have a good one, man. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? All right. So that's what we're talking about. Bringing your attention to some of the Americans who are in cages in foreign countries, all right? And we mentioned the 4 in Iran who've now been moved to house arrest. We talked about Evan in Russia, and we talked about Travis in North Korea. And again, those Americans in Iran, their names are Siamak Namazi, Ahmad Shargi, Murad Tabaz, and Jamshid Sharmahad. And again, Jamshid Sharmahad, he's not an American, but he lived in California for a while, and he's a German. He lived a long time in California. He should have moved to Philly. You know what I mean? Then we really would have wanted you out, but Jamshid was abducted in Dubai in 2020. He was violently abducted and taken back to Iran, and he was sentenced to death for dissident activities. The only point that I'm going to make one more time to y'all is that what separates the United States from Iran are our constitutional freedoms, right? We just went live on Independence Mall, and we talked about our constitutional freedoms, right, that came about after the Revolutionary War, which came about after the Navigation Act, the Townsend Act, the Stamp Act, and the Tea Act, which was England's way of trying to pay down a 146 million pound war debt from the French-Indian War. That's why the colonists got taxed so hard, and that's why we went to war. And that's why we became a country, according to Professor Mark Stoller, Professor Emeritus at University of Vermont, and advisor to the United States military on history. Okay, Professor Mark Stoller, and the program is called A Skeptic's Guide to American History. Thank you again, guys. Yeah, you have a good day, too. Cool. All right, so, right, a big part of this channel is showing that people are pretty similar, The gentleman didn't want to talk to me at first, but I was like, what's your favorite thing about America? He was like, I bet somebody my color didn't say that, and you heard me on the microphone. Everybody's getting impacted by cost of groceries going up 76% in the last 2 years. Everybody's been affected by gas prices going up, by housing costs going up, right? Everybody's experiencing that together, and a lot of the differences that you think exist between us don't really exist. You just have to get out and talk to people. Just have to get out and meet people. It's okay. All right. And if you can't get out, then you can at least catch the Philadelphia Zoo on the lot. Okay. So thank you for coming and checking it out. Hey, how are y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. All right. You saw the lion, you heard the lion. We've talked about some Americans who are in cages abroad, and we're calling on the governments of Iran and Russia and also North Korea to release our Americans back home. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thanks so much.